have a system of governance that is really counterproductive and working against our intentions for a prosperous Papua New Guinea. You see, for Papua New Guinea to grow or be prosperous, before the entire country can be prosperous, you need to come back and make sure the provinces are prosperous or provinces are functioning. And before the provinces can function and be prosperous, the districts need to be functioning and they need to be properly governed. And for that to even happen, families fundamentally must be prosperous. Never mind the big picture. Let's come back to the family
Right.
unit first in Papua New Guinea.
Yes, yes.
The household.
Hallelujah. Someone has finally said it.
If the family is economically independent and solid, then a collection of families become a clan, and therefore a clan is then becoming prosperous and economically independent. Likewise, when the clans are independent politically and economically, then you have villages and then in turn districts. This whole dumbed down situation is really the drawback, you see. Which brings me to my point on how do we make Papua New Guinea a capitalist nation? How do we make them participate in the global economy? Well, to participate in the global economy, I'm going to break this down. Our current economic activity in this country is limited by the land that is formalized. The land that is formalized currently is about 3%. That is state land. So what are state land? State land is land registered in the name of the government. Before independence, these parcels of land used to be called crown leases, crown land. Crown, what is a crown? Crown is that little bit of metal that a king or a queen puts on their head. Well, hang on, so what does that mean? That belongs to the king and the queen. That belongs to the monarch.
You may just go back one step, so at least you may start on the
Yes.
same page.
We'll try a quick land law crash course on this one. What happens is when the white men landed with the little flags, the Union Jack, they landed and staked it and said this belongs to the head of state in England, the monarch.
Right.
So they drew imaginary lines and called it crown land, crown leases. This belongs to the monarch and administered by our agents, and that is at the time it was the Australian administration or the British administration at the time, in the 1801 onwards, and then in Papua, in the New Guinea, had German, the company there doing development. But in a nutshell, that crown land then at independence was converted, rebranded to be known as state lease, state land, which is land belonging to Papua New Guinea. Then the idea of a country owns it. And that's most of the land here in the cities and just in the outskirts. And land that is, some of the land are in plantations, the old plantations that the colonial administrators used to develop cocoa, coprana, coffee. So that group of parcels of land became the land that the country was relying on and using for its GDP to generate income and run the administration. At independence, those were all handed over to the new government, to the PNG as we now know. Since then, to about now, 50 years on, very little has been done to liberate or to free up land that is undocumented. So that land, those bits of land were documented. The rest of the country is land that we now know as customary land or undocumented land, informal land, land that is only identifiable by clans, or identified by clans as the owners.
Just for the sake of my own understanding and the viewers, when you refer to customary land, you talk law or line like all plus our village land, right? You're talking about that.
Correct.
Right now, like we go home for holidays, village, or we have relatives living in the village, our people that are right now, if they're listening to this show, all
Correct.
stop plus.
Yes.
That is customary land.
That is customary land. Most of it is customary land. Now, customary land is another way of saying undocumented land. It's not the land that the government recognizes and the banks do not recognize. So you can go to a bank one time, come up with a proposal and go to the bank and they'll tell you, okay, what's the title? And the guy, I mean, no title. Okay, so what do you do? So under the current groups of laws that govern land, there's a couple of processes to documenting your land. The problem with that is the upshot. The end result is always going to be that it becomes a state land, and therefore your land, a state land, and then owned by only an individual. It can be an individual as in a one papa ground where toko migo paslo clans or me, but you me put in the name of me because me hetman. Or number two, it could go in the name of a company. That's an individual, corporate entity. The problem with that I see is that you disenfranchise the rest of the kingship. All your uncles and aunties who are aligned or members of the clan then are disenfranchised. You dilute their interest in the land because you become the owner. Your name becomes the legal owner on the document. That might work for some, but might not work for most, because you see, Papua New Guinea is a communal. Melanesian way, we talk about Melanesian way. We do things together. We own land together as a clan. You identify by the clan. You identify by the tribe, which is a group of the clans, the big forms of the tribes. You identify as a group. You don't identify as a single person. Yes, I'm Keith Iduhu, but I'm Keith Iduhu from Nokoro clan or from Kwagolo clan of Gaira village. I identify with that nominal identity. That's my real identity. In our Motuan culture, we only have a first name. And then we throw our father's first name as our surnames. We now have family names in this country. But before yet, in Papua New Guinea, more often than not, you have names of men and women by their first names. And then their father's first names become their surnames. And that's how you trace land, the genealogy. Anthropology is a very important aspect of understanding land ownership. Story tumbuna. Where did we come from? Where are we going? And how do we own land? These are questions normally answered by anthropologists. But coming back to that question of documentation, my view has always been that we need to formalize this Melanesian way, this Papua New Guinean way. This, for 1,000 years over, we have been living in a certain way and owning property and land in a certain way. That has to be codified. My proposition to the government always has been to introduce a one-stop shop, a legislation that firstly recognizes the national goals and directive principles of preserving the Papua New Guinean way and its properties and land, and so for the benefit of her people. That's the premise from which this ideology must be codified. Now, this is not a new idea. This is an idea that's been tested and tried and proven in many other countries, including in the United States of America, including New Zealand, including even Peru, Fiji, and in the outskirts of South Africa. It's been world over tested and proven, and some of it's working. All I'm trying to say here is we introduce legislation that gives formal legal recognition of clans in this country as legal personalities. So they should register, and this is a build-up from the NID system. Each citizen should have an NID. In it, it really identifies you and draws you back to your clan and your kingship. Then your groups of NIDs, this is the families, become given an identification of the clan. A clan should have legal personality, as does a company, as would other, nominal entities by law. So clans should have legal personality. Now the clans then have property associated to each of them, right? We all have land. The thing about a Papua New Guinean is when you are born, you're born with capital value. You're born with land. There's the presumption that me papa ground, me mama ground, me born, I have born into a family that owns land. There's no Papua New Guinean born without land. That's a fallacy. It's never happened. In PNG, every single citizen is born with access to a clan own identity and has access through it to the land. But does that land have capital value? You see, land is a piece of dirt. Capital is the document that represents that land, like a title. That's the capital value. So what I'm trying to say here is when we create that, then every clan has capital value. You got access to Golo Bank. You create the head title perpetually in the interest and name of the clan. And then like a state lease, we have subordinate titles or leases, lease interest that we create in fee simple, as we say in law, for 50 years or 90 years in the name of individuals. Could be a group of brothers or sisters from a clan or even companies who want to use the land. But the clan always will forever own the land, can never be diluted or dissolved. What can be diluted or dissolved is the sub-interest for 50 years. And that will be represented through a piece of document called a lease agreement or lease type. It's parallel to the current torrent system. It's parallel to the current state lease system. But this time we're giving sovereignty to the clans. The clans should own the land perpetually. So what does this mean for resource sector? Tell you what this means. It's great. For the oil and gas sector, where people are still talking about clan vetting and da-da-da, it's been almost 10 years. The landowners in Gobe who have not even accessed their land because they are being vetted. Apparently, someone should come and put a certificate and tell me, "Mi blood is like a bush ground." Hey, My great-great-great-grandfather and his great-great-grandfather died and lived in that land. That's my land. The fact that I'm from this identity connects me to the land. I will not go and claim land in Manus. I will not go and claim land in East New Britain. I will not go claim land in Enga. I'm from Gaire, which is in Central Province, which is in the Papuan region. So my heritage, my lineal descent will only drive me and crystallize my ownership of land only in this marked space that's represented by this piece of document, which is a title, and through it, another piece of document under it, which is a lease agreement. And I can take to the bank this lease agreement and tell them, here's my security. I want to buy a tractor. I want to buy this. I want to do this. Oh, by the way, here's my security. You hold it. I want my child to get the best education the world can offer. I want to pay university fees if this study of avionics cannot be given here, or technology and science cannot be given here. I want to send my son to China. I want to send my son to Korea to get the best education, come back and bond them to develop this country with me. Every Papua New Guinean should have that ability. Only way to do it? By legislation and formalizing, documenting the land. Land is power. Land is our identity. It's everything that can turn the capitalists upside down. If we become a communally capitalist nation, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with creating real estate moguls in this country. Every Papua New Guinean, depending on the size of your land, just by birth, you have capital value against your name. You can take a student loan.
Yeah.
And you can pay it back because your NID connects you to the land. That's your security you're just given. So you can't run. You'll pay. When you finish your degree, wherever, you come back and you work and you pay it off. That's how we take the entire country on the journey. That's when we liberate this nation, this beautiful, great, powerful nation. It's a huge potential there. We have not even tapped into it. How about the forestry sector? I used to sit on the board of PNG National Forest Board. And it's very sad because when licenses are up for granting by the board, what happens is you have bits of document, consent forms that are like written in the 1960s. It's like you got excess, people's names in excess and swiggle. That apparently that should denote consent of the landowners. Very sad, very, very sad. This is 2025. Something has to change.
Yes.
So this open up access for even foreign direct investment through the trustee of the land that through the that the legislation should establish. So the national government should have a department or trust entity that manages these two registers. So if anyone wants to have access to huge parcel of land, identify, they come back to the trustee and say, whose land does that belong to? It's this clan. Oh, these are the clans. Okay, then the trustee's responsibility will be to bring them in, tell them, here, fill out the form, express your interest, and they'll take it to the clans and tell these people are expressing an interest to do this work on your land. Do you agree? Or these are the terms. Bang. So they engaged a tripartite development agreement. It's all coming back to planning. We just need to sit down and plan it properly, and it can be done. There are risks associated with land formalization because of misunderstandings might happen. We don't know. Not everybody thinks the same. But if the discussion is, if the law is introduced and paves the way, then the people will subscribe. There has to be social contract from the people of the country for any law to work. For any law to work, there has to be social contract. There has to be a widespread understanding of a particular platform or expectation of the law, and that's how compliance will roll out. This will literally blow Papua New Guinea into the next dimension. It'll make Papua New Guinea, that mantra of making it the richest black Christianist nation. Well, you might just achieve it. It's easy. We just need to put our people first.
Yes.
People first. This is about giving it back to our people, enabling our people to grow, to be economically independent. That has to be our conviction. It has to be a national consensus and narrative around this idea. Otherwise, we're wasting our time. We're fooling ourselves. We think being in politics is just a job. It's not a job. It's a calling. It should be our joint conviction to raise our people from out of where we are to where we need to go. Otherwise, we're wasting our time. We're just passing time. And when God calls us, our time will go. Maybe going to answer me, Keith, what did you do when you were there? I gave you every opportunity. I'm only appealing to all my friends in Parliament. Please, you need to think good. Something borrowing is borrow and you will make money.
Well, yeah. Well,